Everyone, Jess with Emotional Fire Academy here today to talk about relationship hacks to stop being sensitive. Now subscribe to my channel if you want to see new videos every week about what it's like to be a highly sensitive person and tips and tricks to help you up level as an HSP. And who am I? I am Jess. I am your driver operator on this journey. I am a former firefighter and an emotion coach, and I help highly sensitive people up level in life and take back their power and be total hotshots. So today's topic, I want to start by saying, if you are here because somebody else told you you're too sensitive, you need to stop. Stop and go watch my video, How to Control Emotions in Love. I'm going to put the link right above. Do not continue this video. Stop and go watch that one, because you're probably putting this person on a pedestal where them simply saying that you're too emotional, you're taking as truth, and you need to knock that person off the pedestal. So if that's the case, go watch that video now. If you are here because you realize that maybe you're being a little too sensitive in a relationship, that is awesome. That's awesome, because probably you're going to be doing most of the heavy lifting for these hacks. I hate to tell you, but that's okay, because how we relate to ourselves is then trickles into how we relate to other people. And so if you recognize that maybe some of your habits aren't serving you, when you change them, your relationships automatically transform as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, I'm building off of another video I made a few weeks ago, which is about why am I so sensitive and cry easily over everything. If you haven't seen that one, again, stop. Go watch that one first. This will make a lot more sense as I continue on. And it's also an excellent video describing the levels and different kinds of sensitivity. And I'm going to build on that idea. So essentially what happens, but I'll recap here real quick for you. Essentially with sensitivity, right, there's three things going on. There's suggestibility to language, right? We're being suggestible to other people are saying to us in their language. There's also insecurity, which is a form of sensitivity, and that's about our conditioning, right? Insecurity is a chronic conditioned reaction to a series of events. And so that's about our conditioning, right? Insecurity is about how we have been conditioned to respond to something. And then the third type of sensitivity that comes into play is what I call classic highly sensitive personness, because it comes from our physiology. I believe the root genetic cause of being a highly sensitive person comes from certain physiological dispositions where you just get a lot more data, you notice more things. And so we're going to cover those three today and give hacks from those perspectives. So like I said, if you haven't seen that video on why am I so sensitive and cry easily over everything, this will make a lot more sense. So let's talk about some hacks from the suggestibility angle. So if you are in a relationship and the sensitivity that you're experiencing is coming from this other person's language, right? They're saying things to you that are really affecting you. This is a suggestibility issue. So in essence, you are very suggestible to what they're saying. If you didn't take what they were saying as truth, it wouldn't affect you, right? We only take things as truth if the truth we perceive comes from someone credible, a credible source that we should believe. And so let's talk about some suggestibility hacks so you can be less suggestible with whatever your significant other, your sweetie, is telling you. So we have to reduce this person's credibility, right? This person should be an equal to you. Ideally, in a relationship, we are seeing the other person as an equal to us, not above us on a pedestal or below us where we are on the pedestal. Those are dysfunctional relationship dynamics. I do not recommend them. And so if you're taking everything this person is telling you as the God's honest truth, that is going to affect you. It's going to make you, if you are a highly sensitive person, it's going to affect you very profoundly, because everything they say you will take personally and absorb, and it will start to bother you. So reducing the person's credibility, is a series, and most of these things I'm going to suggest today are mindset hacks. That's the easiest thing to do. Action takes effort and energy. Mindset we can literally shift in a matter of minutes by just changing how we think about something. So most of these are mindset hacks, and most of them will originate within you and then ripple into the relationship. So reducing the person's credibility. Has this person made 100% perfect decisions in life? From your perspective, is there wiggle room? Is there wiggle room in trusting that they might not be 100% right all the time? So if that is the case, taking everything they say to you at 100% is not a good strategy, right? Because if this person is an imperfect human, just as we all are, then taking everything they say at face value is something that we can start immediately. And just realizing that this other person is on exactly the same footing as you. They are not above or below you. They are literally a clump of cells with noises coming out of their mouth. And, we don't cry or get upset or get offended or get angry when a goose honks at us. And that's kind of what happens with the other person when we're engaging with them. Like, they are the equivalent of a goose honking at us. And when we realize that we can turn that mindset on and be like, I'm not going to take this personally just because it was words coming out of someone's mouth, that gives us a lot of our power back. And, it makes us more resilient to whatever they might say to us, because they are imperfect, as are we. So that's one hack we can do, reframing it in that way. Acknowledging that you don't have to see eye to eye on things. You don't have to see the exact same way as your significant other. You can hold completely different opinions. And that is totally okay. If that ruffles your feathers a little bit, you might want to explore, what belief are you holding that you have to think exactly alike, or that everything they tell you is the God's honest truth and that there's no deviating from that. And if they said that you look fat today, then you are fat. Where is the belief that you're holding that everything they say you then have to take as and become you? And so even just having that awareness, that's the second hack. Having that awareness that you don't have to hold the same opinions as them. You don't have to agree eye to eye. And in fact, the more that you stand firm in your own beliefs and your own ideas of things actually makes you more attractive to them, because you're not suggestible. You're not just like, oh yes, dear, whatever you say. You're standing up for what you believe in, and you are impervious to whatever, they're going to throw at you as far as language goes. A third hack I like in this area of the suggestibility is just saying to that person, when they say something you don't like or you don't agree with or that upsets you, say, can you unpack that for me? It's a nice neutral question, because a lot of times our partners, our boyfriends, girlfriends, the person we're dating, they aren't perfect communicators, and their intention is often different than how we interpret their words, right? They might have said something that they didn't mean to offend us, or they meant it in a different way. They just didn't use the best words, or it just kind of came out of their mouth, or maybe we interpreted it because somebody had said those words to us before, and it kind of triggers us a little bit. So asking them, can you unpack that for me? Often when you dig a little deeper into it, totally resolves any of the sensitivity, because they didn't actually mean what you thought they meant from face value. That is a great hack as well that I love to use, and encourages deeper conversation and thus more intimacy in the relationship. So those are your suggestibility hacks for being less sensitive as to what the other person is saying to you that might be bothering you. Let's move on to, insecurity. This has to do with our conditioning, how we were conditioned, and this is about a series of, incidents that causes a negative reaction in us. That is what insecurity is, right? It's XYZ happened to me, and therefore if I see or sense or feel or hear or taste anything that looks like XYZ again, I'm going to have this automatic conditioned response. And that's really what insecurity is. And when we refuse to deal with it and heal those wounds, we have lingering insecurities. So some insecurity hacks that the other person will trigger in us and that we trigger in them. These are, relationships trigger deep wounds. There is that nerve that goes from the heart to the head where when we're in relationship, often we let people get away with things that we otherwise wouldn't let other people get away with. Like we would never let our friends talk to us like that. Or so the rules seem to be different, and that's okay. And therefore, when it comes to our insecurities, how can we, in a relationship, how can we move beyond them and make the relationship better so that neither one of us is insecure in that way? The first hack I want to talk about is the original wound. So if you can, often in a argument or maybe even the relationship as a whole, there's an original wound, right? This person reminds us of either a relationship we've been in before, or if it's just a single incident, right? Situation we've been in before. Because if we're having the wound is a conditioned response. So if we've been conditioned, that means that there was a series of events leading up to that. So if we can find the original wound and kind of unravel that, then we're not going to be as sensitive or conditioned to having the same response. One of the things I like to do is literally when I have some big emotion come up, when I'm in an argument with someone, I will, when I have a safe time to kind of sit by myself, I will close my eyes and ask myself, what does this remind me of? And when have I been in this situation before? I want to see the original wound. Where was the original wounding? And if you kind of sit quietly with your eyes closed, I will inevitably have something flash into my mind, either an event from childhood and that is coming up from my memory bank and that feels like, oh, this could potentially be the original wound, and just seeing it and sitting with it and sensing it. And then having the intention to heal that, be like, I am healing this. I was 6 when this happened, or 2 or 4 or 14, and I'm not that age anymore, right? I have the wisdom and knowledge of whatever current age I am now, and looking in on it and kind of imagining myself being there to comfort myself in that original wound. So this is kind of a visualization process, and that begins to heal some of these really deep, festering, conditioned wounds that we have, so that we're not bringing them into the relationship and then expecting that the other person gets to deal with it, when really this is something that we haven't dealt with, that is from way earlier back, before that other person was even in our lives. So healing the original wound, really good hack for then transforming these triggers and these insecurities that we do have with the other person. And even like I said, the relationship as a whole might remind you of a previous relationship that you have now a conditioned response to, and undoing that conditioning frees us from the insecurity. The second hack I want to talk to is having a new reaction. So this is a different angle we can take. We can literally react in a different way. So if we normally, let's say I'm going to go back to the fat thing, because this used to be one of my triggers. If somebody, my boyfriend would tell me, oh, you look a little chubby in that. And my fat insecurity, the insecure feelings that I have that I am fat, I would get angry, right? Or I'd start to cry. If we can then decide, okay, instead of having that reaction, I'm going to choose to have a totally different reaction. Maybe something surprising, like flat out laughter, like hysterical laughter. So you commit to, okay, when this comes up again, I am going to recondition myself with a different response. So I'm just going to outright laugh at it. I'm going to laugh hysterically. And so this, again, when we do this consistently, right? He accidentally says something about me being fat. I feel that anger or pain or something rising up, and instead I immediately transmute it into laughter. I'm just like, ha 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 ha, you just let it out, change that energy of it rising up in the normal way into something totally different. And if you do that a few times, you'll actually find yourself being completely reconditioned in your reaction, which is pretty cool. And that then, again, changes how you're relating to yourself, how you're relating to the other person, and then how you're feeling afterwards. Whereas you might spend an hour crying before, and the typical response you had, you might just laugh it off and in 30 seconds be totally unfazed. So another idea. A third hack for the insecurity is actually ending the conversation with 3 things that you like about the person and that the person likes about you. I have used this. It's very, very, very effective. It is an awesome relationship hack. If you've just had an argument, and the other person has to be in on this too. It helps if you're both exchanging these platitudes. But you ask them to state, and you state, sometimes you might have to start with this. You say, can I tell you 3 things I really like about you right now? And you tell them 3 really genuine things that you like about them right now. Like, you look really cute in that shirt today. That's a great color on you. I really loved how you opened the car door for me this morning. Genuine appreciation, saying those 3 things at the end of an argument, it switches your brain into a different mode, totally. You don't leave an argument or a upsetting conversation feeling depleted and sad and angry and having to process all that. You actually leave it with a sense of like, okay, everything's okay. It kind of brings you back into that field of okayness. So, and then the other person does that for you and reiterates it, and it's a great way to kind of have closure and both of you to switch your mindsets and to reaffirm the things you do like about each other instead of just fighting. So that's an excellent hack as well. The last thing, an HSP hack. So the sensitivity when it comes to our physiology is what I call pure HSP-ness. So sensitivity in terms of what you're experiencing in your body, being a highly sensitive person. This is something that if you are being sensitive in a relationship and you are a true highly sensitive person, that these are things that you need to manage about your sensitivity on your own, that starts with you. And I highly suggest my video on self-care versus damage control. I'll put the link above. But developing really, really, really strong self-care. Like, the better you take care of yourself, the better you treat yourself and love yourself, that it will ripple into your relationship. That's a huge relationship hack, is taking care of this person, number 1. Because when you do that, again, it strengthens you, which then strengthens the relationship. There's an outward ripple. So excellent self-care. If you have recurring issues about something in your relationship that really bothers you, say the nighttime is hard, you tend to have all your fights in the evening, develop a self-care ritual that supports that problem. So in the evenings then, instead of opening yourself up to fights, go take a hot bath, go read a great book, set up a self-care ritual where you will then avoid going into that pattern. And then it plays into the conditioning and how how much you're taking care of yourself. You're then happier, and then you're not putting a burden on the other person to help you through the nighttime, because then every night it might turn into a fight and it might get hard. Another great hack is learning how to communicate what's happening in your body. As a highly sensitive person, you might be in a relationship with someone who isn't highly sensitive, and they don't know what you're going through. They don't know what you're experiencing. So learning how to communicate better as an HSP to your partner and saying, I'm feeling so overwhelmed right now. I'm about to cry, and I'm crying just to release all this tension. Like, saying that, framing it that way so they know what's happening. So when you burst out in tears and you don't say anything and you're just crying, they might take it personally and get upset at you or yell at you or interpret it in a way that is more negative, as opposed to, okay, how can I help you? Because we remember that if we forget that people who don't identify as highly sensitive aren't accustomed to dealing with high levels of emotion or the depth of emotion that you might be experiencing. in fact, are actually more sensitive in that way. They might just go straight to overwhelm when you start emoting because it's too much for them. Their nervous systems aren't designed to handle it, unlike ours are. So in that way, they're actually a little more sensitive than us, and that's okay. They're not used to dealing with emotion like we are. We can tolerate, extreme fear, extreme anger, extreme sadness all in the course of a day and still go on to live the next day. That's just kind of what we're accustomed to. But so it's okay if they can't handle that. It's okay. And if we're leaning too hard on this person, we might need to start considering getting more support. That is an incredible relationship hack too, is getting more support when you realize that you're kind of trying to share the burden of being a highly sensitive person with someone else and expecting them to always be there for you and always be a counselor and always be a support. I'm not saying that that's not part of a healthy relationship. It is, in a balanced way. But you recognizing as a HSP that I might need more help than my partner. That is so empowered. That is such a powerful position to take, and realizing that and stepping into that and recognizing, like, maybe I need talk therapy, maybe I need NLP, maybe I need, some herbal support, taking some herbs, maybe I need to start exercising again. Incorporating more support into your life, again, with self-care, is a excellent hack to then save your relationship and not push it into really uncomfortable places where this person becomes your counselor and not your partner, your lover, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. And yeah, just avoiding that altogether. So comment below, let me know what you thought about these relationships hacks, and if you will use any of them, if you disagree with any of them, if you have any other ideas about them, I would love to hear it. And if you are a highly sensitive person struggling with relationship and balance in a relationship, I can help you. I have a 3-month guided journey called Flammable to Fireproof that will provide you all the foundation that you need that will then ripple out into your relationships, into your career, into your friendships, your family relationships, and totally transform them because you yourself have come from a place of being a hotshot, a highly sensitive hotshot. So I hope that you enjoy this. I will see you guys and gals later, and thanks for watching.